Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.
Welcome to the 201st episode of the Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, David S. Dawson. Thank you for joining us. And a big thank you to everybody who joined us for the big 200th Facebook Live episode on Tuesday night. What a lot of fun that was. It was wonderful to get to interact with the audience while we were doing a podcast. It's something we're seriously going to consider doing again on a regular basis in the near future. We just got to figure out the logistics of making that happen on a regular basis. Until then, make sure that you are subscribing to the Intellectual Podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or iHeartRadio, or be sure to check out our website, theintellectual.com. That's intellectual with an X. And check out all the cool things we got going on the site. You can visit our YouTube page where we've got red carpet coverage and Comic-Con coverage and a whole bunch of stuff that you may or may not be following us on already. And be sure to subscribe to us when you go to our YouTube page as well. Today's episode is with actress Karenssa LeGear. Karenssa is just a wonderful human being and someone I've had the pleasure of working with on a couple of occasions on intellectual entertainment productions. And she is the lead actress in the upcoming film Carving a Life, which premieres next week in Los Angeles. We'll be putting the website address and everything on our show notes, so be sure to check out Carving a Life when it premieres. It will also be available, I believe, on Amazon for streaming after the premiere. So, real quick intro today. We're going to get right into it. Here is Karenssa LeGear on the 201st episode of the Intellectual Podcast.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
Are you going to tell me when it starts?
Yeah, sure, it started.
I thought so.
How you doing, Karenssa?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Doing pretty good.
Whitney.
Yes.
Happy anniversary. It's September, and I noticed that you started with the podcast last year in September. So
I did.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, look at that.
It's so funny. She said that. I immediately went, how do you know when I got married? But she meant my podcast anniversary. They happen around the same
your
time.
Intellectual anniversary.
My intellectual anniversary.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, and your
And
wedding
now-
anniversary is like this weekend, right?
It is.
And a happy anniversary for your
Thank you.
wedding.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So, been podcasting with David a whole year now.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. And I've known you just around about a year now, too.
I know. It's funny because I have to be like, oh, wait, we were in a movie together. But
yeah,
we spent so much of it apart.
Yeah.
We have one violent interaction, and then that's about it.
What movie was that?
Valhalla.
Yeah. Urayola film.
Oh, right.
So hopefully...
Yeah.
I watched that the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're hoping
I
there's a-
assail her.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a little on the
And then
dark
she
side.
assails me.
Yes.
All the assailing. Yeah, so you've been really busy. I've seen you in a lot of stuff this year.
Really? I know, because when people ask me what I've been up to, I have no idea. I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's just that like, maybe it was filmed a while ago and now it's
Maybe.
all coming out at the same time.
That's very true. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the weird thing. Like you're like, I haven't done anything in a while. Well, it's been coming out.
Yeah. And even when I have done stuff, I don't remember. I can barely remember yesterday. Dawson was there for yesterday, so that will help me through this. Like, I'll remember.
We did stuff yesterday?
Yeah, I saw you yesterday.
What did we do yesterday?
You'll remember.
Oh, yeah. We went to Terry Ross's class yesterday.
Yes,
yeah.
we did.
That was fun.
Good times.
I was teaching Whit.
You were teaching?
Yeah.
And I was interrupting. I'm surprised I was still invited today.
She provided an opposing viewpoint to a lot of things I was teaching.
Always. Devil's advocate. I can't even help myself. I think that's partly why I'm drawn to acting. It's like putting myself in the other person's shoes, no matter if I actually agree or not. I'm just like, but what if this other person went through this other experience and this is where they're coming from with their perspective?
You reminded me yesterday a lot of my one of my roommates, like right after college when I was living in Dallas. It didn't matter what we were talking about. If I picked a position, he would take the absolute opposite. And every conversation with that dude was a debate. Every single one.
Always like that.
Didn't matter.
Specifically, I mean, it's amazing. I don't have an opinion on so much, actually. No opinions elsewhere in my life or world. But when it comes to this art form and filmmaking and all that stuff, all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, when did I get all these thoughts and opinions and the courage to voice them all, whether they're welcome or not?
Oh, that's great.
It's fun.
When did you start doing acting and this art form, as you say?
Yes. Actually doing, I think for me, I always associate it with being 13 is when my parents finally gave in to my begging and pleading and complaining for singing lessons. And so for me, that's how I started in a year of classical singing lessons, then followed by the next year they gave into professional TV and film classes. Oh, wow. So that I would drive down to San Diego for class, and I was the youngest by a decade or two, and I did that for quite a few years. So I complemented that with also doing community theater and lots of musicals.
So you're a native to this area?
Yes. I mean, I know it's just taken me so long to get on the podcast. I understand David Dawson because I live so far away. I live so far away. 10 minutes from David Dawson, folks. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we only ever see each other.
For the entire history of the podcast, she's lived 10 minutes away from me.
Yes.
And this is the first time she set foot inside the house.
No, I've been here once before.
Publicly shamed now, man. Publicly
When were you
shamed.
here before?
You showed me a little of the recency.
Oh, that's right.
Effect.
That's right. You popped by for that.
Most people don't know how to say the title of that film to this day.
Recency. It's not that hard.
I know. Somehow it becomes Regency. But most of the time I see you in San Diego. And when we do, we're like, we should have carpooled. So we did that for the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
Carpooled?
We carpooled. This is a big deal.
Rode together down to Terry Ross's
road trip.
Yay. Being green. Carpooling.
Yes. We did it.
Carpooling in a Prius at that. So
Yeah.
Thanks for the ride.
So you grew up around here, and you did acting classes from the time that you were 13.
14 for the film and TV classes, yeah.
13, 14. And then where did it go from there?
So yeah, let's see. I focused a lot on musical theater for a long time. I think partly because my singing opened up a lot of doors for me. Also, musical theater pays more than straight theater, so that would be appreciated. And what else? Oh, because for me, quite honestly, it was accessible. Film and TV, to get to the level where you want to be, needs an agent, a manager, and I couldn't figure out how to get that because I was starting at such a young age too, and having to rely on my parents who are not in the business, so we're just kind of going by the seat of our pants. So I did musical theater because I could at least hear about auditions at school, and so I did. I worked here locally at the Moonlight Amphitheater and the Welk Resort Theater. And then finally got to work at some bigger places like musical, not that they're not big. Sorry, Moonlight, you're amazing. You've grown from like the days that I worked there. Musical Theater West in Long Beach, which is just, wow, such an amazing place. And then I did a few years ago, Les Mis in Arkansas, and then it was crossed over to Arizona. So it got to a level where I was happy with it. But I guess I kind of tag team those things, my musical theater. I don't know if I hit a wall or I just need a change of pace or what it is. Or the other thing that I love to do starts calling really loudly and knocking at the door. And I just switched gears. And after 2012, I really focused on film and TV again. 2012, I disappeared and did a cruise line job where I was performing. And when I came back, I needed a little change. And that's when I dove into the local film consortium for the first time and met all these people that I now am so happy to know. And I mean, around that time, just social media, right? It put us all in contact in a way that prior to that, I didn't know all these people who had the same passion and dream as I did lived here.
Yeah. I don't know that Jody could have done the film consortium if she tried it 5 years sooner.
Right, exactly.
I don't think it would have been as successful.
I mean, I'll complain about social media, but I've stepped away from it at times, but it has its pluses, and that was one of them, putting people who have the same passion together in the same area.
Yeah. I want to talk about the cruise ship stuff a little bit. So what cruise line were you on?
Holland America, the cruise line of the elderly, who are my people. They are. I mean,
the blue hairs are like the backbone of the theater industry, right?
Yeah, there's that, and I'm a classically trained singer, so the type of, and it's not that I'm a classically trained singer, but I actually like that kind of thing. I like the golden era of musicals, the Oklahomas, the Phantom of the Operas, the Les Mises, and that age group appreciates that kind of voice, or the opera and things like that, art song. Whereas these days, pop and rock are really what's selling for our own age bracket. So I'm very appreciative of those who like the classical voice. And so I got to do that for 8 months at sea and did 4 of those months up through Canada and Alaska, and then the other 4 down doing Panama Canal, the Caribbean to Florida.
So was that one contract?
One contract, 8 months at sea, a month and a half of rehearsal on land.
That's cool. So we talked a little bit about it yesterday in the car. So Alaska was like,
oh my gosh,
a revelation for you. Like,
yes.
Because I worked on a boat in Alaska. I don't know if I've ever told you that, Whit.
No, I've never heard that. My dad worked up in Alaska for a time too.
Really?
He loved it. Yeah. He's an
Ah.
aeronautics engineer, so he was fixing airplanes.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea I was going to fall in love with it because I'm Southern Californian and Australian. So I was like, cold, what? No. But it was a summer in Alaska. So
summers in Alaska are really nice. That's when I was working up there.
Yes. And actually in comparison to the down south itinerary, where it was just blazing hot all the time, like you stepped outside and you were pouring in sweat, I actually realized you could live a much more active lifestyle up in Alaska. You can go on a bike and brew, and you just have your layers, and you get warmed by being physically fit.
Right. So
that was awesome. And just the wildlife, the landscape, it never got old for me. Every single day. I saw Alaska green, covered in snow. I saw it brown, and it was just all beautiful. Mm-hmm. Got to see the seasons change and the wildlife. I took 9,000 pictures on that trip.
Wow.
In 8 months, I took 9,000 pictures. So I liked it. I liked it a lot.
So you guys had a fair amount of downtime to go and explore.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to, is like, because you and I, when we were talking yesterday, you mentioned, people kind of badmouth the cruise line and the theme parks and whatever as being kind of like the low end of stuff. Right. But it's not just about the work, it's about the experience too, right?
Yeah.
So how much downtime did you have when you were working?
I was so spoiled. I don't even know if I could do another contract because of how spoiled I was on the one I had. I calculated it. And once, like when you first get on the ship, it's a bit intensive because you're crossing over casts and you have to you're doing rehearsals. Basically, you're doing tech week on top of your actual show. Mm-hmm. But once that is done, you're just doing the show. And I calculated it. It's like I'm working about 12 hours a week. And I'm getting paid better than I do on land. Or for most of the work that I do as a performer per week. And there's no point in doing a show when all of the passengers are on land. So you get to be on land. It's the best job that you can have on the ship. It's just not even fair. So when I came back, I would have friends saying, oh, I want to do what you did, but they weren't performers. They were just thinking they'll go work on the ship in general. It's like, I don't know. Not everyone has a sweet gig like the performers. And that being said, not all performers do. I know like the Disney Cruise Line performers work like, 40 hours a week, and it's much more demanding, and you have to hide because you're known as being a princess and you can't be seen as a regular human being out of costume. So
because you don't want to ruin the illusion for a child.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just had a really good gig.
Well, and some of them, I think Carnival, the performers also kind of moonlight as waiters too.
Whoa,
so
really?
No,
I didn't.
I haven't seen that on any Carnival ship I've been on.
Well, maybe. But would you know?
I saw at least.
But I know some of them like will be the entertainment staff and run the they'll run the trivia games.
Exactly.
And that sort of stuff.
Right. Sometimes. And some of that is contracted and some of it's not. Sometimes you actually just get asked, hey, do you want to do this? Because 8 months at sea is a long time. You get bored. I end up spending like 3 hours a day in the gym by the end of my contract just because it was something to do. You know?
Yeah, I was real close in like 2010, 2011. I was looking into applying to work on like, the technical staff for the shows and stuff on Carnival, which is why I like kind of know a little bit about what they were doing. But I was this close, to sending the application off. And I didn't want to leave my family behind though, because my mom was, already sick at that point.
Right.
I didn't want to find myself, at sea across the world when something happened.
I had that, except I didn't know it. I went away for those 8 months, came back, decided I actually was in crisis when I came back because the end of my contract ended with something bad, not professionally, just a personal thing. And then also I didn't expect the adjustment of, I had never had 8 months as a performer of work lined up before. And then all of a sudden you don't have that. And the normal I had been prior to that was used to not being employed, or going from job to job and figuring it out. But to have had it for 8 months and have good money come in and then not have it freaked me out. And so in that crisis, I'm not a spontaneous person, but when I get like kicked down and I'm on the ground basement floor of like things are not looking good, I will apparently become spontaneous in that moment to get myself out of it. So I booked a flight over to New York and lived over there for a while. I'm getting back to this point. It's amazing. I actually do remember my point. So after being in New York for a while auditioning, I come back and my dad picks me up from the airport and I pick up some papers off of my seat, the passenger seat. And I accidentally in that moment find out that my dad had cancer. And the entire time I was gone on the ship and in New York, my dad had cancer and no one told me. Because they didn't want me worrying.
They didn't want you worrying?
Yeah. I was so mad, though.
I would be mad, too.
I was so mad. And then, of course, concerned. At this, I'm like concerned. It's like very mixture of
quick run through the stages. Of everything.
Oh, that whole drive from LAX back to San Diego was a trip, to say the least. But he's doing great now. But yeah, I can understand how that... I wasn't put in that position, but I guess they could have easily put me in it. Or you're stuck out there and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So
because there's in many of those cruises, like there's really no way back.
Right. Well, especially in Alaska, it's insanely expensive to fly.
You can get dropped off in Juneau and have to fly home from Juneau.
Right.
It's tough.
Right.
There's no direct flights from Juneau.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Ride a little puddle jumper rope to Anchorage and then fly home from there.
That could be very frightening.
Yeah. Especially.
I loved Alaska.
Me too.
Such a just gorgeous place in the world.
If only they had a booming entertainment industry. Because I loved it. Yeah, but I couldn't stay there for that reason.
Yeah. The remoteness of it is both its beauty and its drawback. Mm-hmm. It's just It is as beautiful as it is because it is not just overrun. Right.
And I tried to, funny story actually though, in Alaska, I accidentally ran into at least 4 people from Southern California in Alaska. Who does that? Like, who goes to Alaska and runs into people from high school? But I did. and they were separate, 4 separate occasions.
That's hilarious.
It was quite odd. But I remember because that trip then piggybacked onto the New York trip. I tried to, when I landed in New York, look at the beautiful cement mountains. But no, I'm just a nature girl, I guess. I mean, not through and through. I mean, I'm not out there camping or anything, but Alaska filled my soul with something. It does something for you. Actually, I listened to your podcast today in preparation for this podcast to kind of see what I was like in for. And you talked about making sure you go to the beach once a week when you were living in Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. So beautiful nature does something.
I wish I could get to the beach more here, but it's challenging. Like even whenever I lived in Pacific Beach, the beach was 8 blocks away and I still didn't get there that often.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I never went in the ocean this summer. That's why when I saw Dawson yesterday, I was kind of not loving the change of weather, and everyone else is so thankful for it, and I'm like bitter. But I think it's really just my resentment that I myself hadn't gotten into the ocean yet.
Isn't today the last day of summer? You still have like a few hours.
Go. Okay.
Yeah.
No, 4 o'clock was
okay,
the
dream killer.
What?
So we're an hour now into fall.
Oh, whoops.
Buy a wetsuit. You can get in the ocean anytime.
I mean, I go to the ocean. I do go there. I just didn't go in it. That's all.
Yeah, when traffic's bad on the 5, I say to hell with it, and I drive over onto the 1.
Definitely.
101, and I just take that down and enjoy driving on the coast. You know, if I'm going to be driving slowly anyway, I might as well be doing it where I can see the beach.
Exactly.
You know, so that's one of the like perks of living, you know, where we live is, at least if you're going to be dealing with shitty traffic, you can do it on the water.
That's true.
So you've got a movie coming out.
I do.
Soon.
Speaking of beaches, that wasn't like a pun or anything. I just realized that's how it came out. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't trying to say bitches. If that's what it sounded like.
Just beaches.
I'm trying to say that we have a lot of ocean scenes or associations.
I thought you were associating it with that old movie. Like,
beaches.
I'm like, what does this movie have to do with that one?
Yeah. So it's funny because the other lead actor that I work with in the film, we're in a relationship in the film, and the characters go to the beach quite often, or that was, I guess, what they would probably do, dating or whatever. But he and I have become like brother and sister, like really good friends, and we go to the beach and walk the beach all the time. So it's really nice. I love Carlsbad, like boardwalk, State Beach there.
And what is the film?
It is called Carving a Life, and it's directed by Terry Ross and written by and produced by Lisa Brune, and starring.
I love both of those women.
Yeah.
They're such wonderful people.
I mean, I'll have to always be eternally grateful to them both, because not only did they give me the wonderful gift of being in this film, but they gave me the gift of meeting the amazing film family that I've come to know in this community, namely Oscar Velasquez, Jackie Bainto, Austin Alberto, John Freeman, all names that I'm sure have come up on your guys' podcast
that
before.
Whole group of people is wonderful.
They're just, and you know what, for me, what just speaks volumes to what makes them wonderful is just their collaborative nature and humility, and so easy to work with, receptive to feedback, just whatever's going to make us all better, and we're all learning from each other, and I have to be thankful to them for that always. Very thankful. So yes, that film is coming out in next month, actually in Los Angeles. It's going to have 8 screenings, and it's going to be October 13th through the 18th, and I think people can go to arenascreen.com/calendar to buy tickets, but we don't have exact times yet, but it'll be in the evening on those dates. And I might be there as much as I can be to say hi to folks to see it. And then we're hoping it will also come back to San Diego and screen, but we don't have definite dates on that yet.
So that's a feature.
It's a feature film. I know. They're starting to come out now here in San Diego. It took a while, but there's been a few features, and we've been working on this one for quite some time. So it's nice to see it come out.
It's awesome. Who is your co-star?
Tyler Brune.
Tyler Brune?
Yeah. Nice. And then we also have Lisa Winans in there, and Laura Bolin, and a whole cast of characters that will be very familiar. We shot it almost all in San Diego. Ocean. We went up into the mountains, and we shot in Julian. So
what is Carving a Life about?
Carving a Life is both about this relationship between Mitch, who was played by Tyler, and Lauren, played by myself, and circling around the issue of addiction with alcohol and substance abuse, and how that affects the relationship.
Wow, so lighthearted stuff.
Yeah, you know how we do it. A comedy. Nah.
I think the thing that I'm really enjoying right now in San Diego film is how much more of the kind of longer form things that are coming out are actually dramatic and, have messages and have depth to them. They're not just zany comedies. And I think for a while there, so much of the 48s and stuff that we were making were funny, and everybody was just looking for the next punchline to do, and it's so nice to see like real films coming out now.
Yeah.
From a lot of really talented filmmakers here in town, you know, but they're like finding that voice and pushing real stories through. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's just the main thing is creating an environment for that to be welcomed. Because I think maybe why there was so much of something is you start playing with it and then you want to get better at it.
Yeah.
Or when you see someone else do it, I'll push myself further. And you keep going down this track that maybe you even didn't even want to be on necessarily. But I think it's all great and wonderful, but let's keep broadening what we can offer and explore, because that's also more satisfying creatively and artistically.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think? So you just said that you'd hope that as a community we broaden our horizons. What about for you personally? What would be like a dream role for you, or something that you want to use to broaden your own abilities?
Oh my gosh, that's always such a tricky question, because for me, applying that to film and TV, it's such a difficult question for me to answer, because those things don't exist yet, you know, and if they do, they only exist in it because I've seen them and someone already got the job. So it becomes then about types of characters, I suppose. But when it comes to musical theater, I have a different feeling, because those things are classics and they exist already, and I can strive for that thing that I've always wanted. So there's a lot of things I've chased in musical theater, and one of my dream roles there is Clara in a musical called The Light in the Piazza. I'd also like to revisit Christine in Phantom of the Opera, but I've already done that. I was very happy with it, but I'd like to do it in a different context. I guess I'm at peace with most of the other ones. And for film, it just comes down to the script. You know, I don't know until I read the script, and then all of a sudden I might read a script that I'm just like, this, I have to do this. And it's usually because of the truth in it or the heart in it. The challenge in it to me as an actor. I'm currently just riding the high of what we saw. All three of us were at a screening last week.
Jordan hates the writing.
Jordan hates the writing. And I'm also forever grateful to him for giving me the gift of taking on the role of Marilyn Monroe. Never saw that coming. Never would have pictured that for myself. And
I thought you were great.
Yeah.
And when I heard you were playing the part, like I was like, that makes perfect sense.
I mean, I don't, especially now I'm a redhead, and I know for a while everyone saw me as a platinum and blonde. So I'm like, that must be the only reason he invited me to do this character, because I don't consider myself a Marilyn Monroe. But I loved the challenge. I mean, looking at me approaching the challenge, you would not think I'm loving it, because I was freaking the beep out. But that's what I love, is I love to flip out. Flip out meaning like get so scared and I have to work on the voice. I have to work on the mannerisms. I have to find a costume. I have to, you know, and so I did a lot of freaking out, which led to a lot of work. And then we had shot that way back in February, and now we just saw it for the first time a week ago. So I had no real reality-based concept of how I had done. And so to see it was just like, oh my gosh, it worked. I'm so like the entire
got a great
short.
reaction from the audience too.
Like, I just want to watch it over and over and over again. Like, can I have it, please?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely had the voice down, but you do a lot of vocal work, right? Like you do a lot of accents and things.
Oh, I want to. I mean, I do because I'm Australian. That's my go-to accent to do, and I have been surprising myself in the past year. People have given me things and asked me to do them, and I'm like, I can't do that. And 10 minutes later, I'm doing it, and I'm like, whoa, it's a miracle.
I think if you've got a good singing background, I think it's easier to find the accents.
Yeah, I think
because it's about the musicality of the voice, and I mean, an accent is just about pitch and, you know, the timbre and changing a little bit of that. And if you've got control of your voice anyway from you know, musical background, I think you just have the tool sets in place already to kind of hear it and replicate it.
I hope so.
In a way that somebody who doesn't have the ability to sing maybe has a harder time with it.
Yeah, I think that actually the biggest hurdle I have is me getting out of my own way.
Preach it, sister.
Right? Yeah. It's like unfortunate. I think I might have actually more natural ability that I give myself credit for. But if my brain does not know that exists, like there hasn't been like a court case proven that Karenssa has the ability to do this thing, I won't trust myself. So it's been an interesting process because I think as a child, my parents tell me that I did accents all the time and it just came very easily and naturally to me. But somewhere in puberty or whenever, the demons crept into my brain telling me like, well, you can't do that. Why would you think you could do that? And all that kind of stuff. So
you probably got weird looks from people at school when you were doing an accent. And just kind of stopped doing them.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I did less of them. So I was the same way. I did a lot of accents when I was a little kid. And then I kind of stopped doing them in class and stuff because everybody made fun of me. But I would do them at soccer practice because our coaches were all British and Scottish and whatever, and I would like parrot back to my coaches. And I never was even meaning to. It's like if I hear an accent long enough, I just start
it's just contagious.
Same with impersonations. I apparently did a lot of impersonations and I was great as a kid. But if you were to ask me to impersonate someone right now, no. Like, oh, I can't. No, I couldn't. No, I have no idea. If I'm accidentally telling you a story about that person and I just flip into it,
it just comes out.
Yeah. And then someone will be like, wow, that was really good. And that's spot on. I'm like, what? I didn't even know I like impersonated someone.
Yeah. Like anytime I talk about Larry Poole.
Yeah, you do a great Larry Poole impression.
Come on, let's hear it.
Well, when you're talking about Larry Poole, you just gotta make sure that everything's got a good pause in it.
Yeah. Where's he from?
Fun. He's from Florida, mostly. Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to be the answer.
Yeah.
So tell me, as children, did you guys ever do this? When you were on vacation, so my best friend and I used to do this. We would select an accent for the vacation. And if we were out and about, just the two of us, we were in that accent for the entire duration just to mess with people.
Oh, I did stuff like that all the time. I was doing that even after I became an adult. I did a whole day as Silent Bob on a corporate AV job.
Wow.
I just would. I wore a long black coat. I wore my ball cap backwards. This was after we were done with the show for the day, and we went out for dinner with the clients and stuff. And I spent the whole night as Silent Bob, just smoking cigarettes and like nodding and yes and no and. I don't know. But didn't say a word the whole night. Everybody's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like...
I love it.
I was like 26, 27 when I was doing that. I don't know. It's like performing.
I know I wanted to all the time. But even I had friends who would do that or say, do you want to do that? But I couldn't. The desire was there, but to do it to people who aren't in on the joke, like, bothered me. It just seemed disingenuous or something like that. But I still, to this day, like, want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't I just go over to Australia and do my Australian accent? But I just don't want to be found out or something.
So Brian.
Which one?
My brother-in-law,
yes,
Brian.
That one.
So I met...
That would have been a logical guess.
I met Brian in college in Texas. We met at Baylor. And we became roommates and stuff. And we would go to order, like, food at Jack in the Box after we got out of the theater at like 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning. We'd roll into the Jack in the Box and we'd order everything as Monty Python characters.
Oh my God.
So like we'd roll up to the drive-thru and like, welcome to Jack in the Box, can I take your order please? And I'm like, you got anything with spam in it? And he's in the back going spam, 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 and we did that every night. Like, just roll in, and they weren't in on the joke at first, but then after a few weeks, then they were like, "Oh, you guys are back, thanks."
You guys ate so much spit that year.
Oh no, you're right though. You're onto something there, Grody. See, this is why I don't do these things. Oh,
now you discouraged her from ever doing that in public.
I mean, just don't do it to people who handle your food. Everybody else.
In my defense, I do it, just not to people. I mean, today in my car, I was talking to myself. Yep. Like, I'm just a crazy person who, like, so I don't want to do it to other people, but I'll just talk to myself in these weird accents or imagine things, I guess.
Do you ever come up with good scenes while you're talking to yourself in your car?
Yeah, actually. I mean, I do so much driving, but I don't always talk aloud to myself. Most of the time, I'm actually just quietly in my head, making films in my head, actually. There's so many films I want to make.
You should get a little recorder so you can like
talk it out.
Yeah.
I don't even have that. You guys, I struggle with confidence so bad. I don't even have the confidence to have my own voice, like recorded with my own ideas. Like I couldn't even keep a diary as a kid. I tried several times like to have a diary or a journal. It never lasted more than 3 days because every time I would look back at, I would judge my handwriting. I would judge like what I wrote. I would be like, oh, that's so passé. That was so 3 days ago. That's not true anymore. You were so silly. Yeah, it just in my brain is where I stay.
I was an avid journaler as a child. There are boxes that my mother has in her house still of journals.
That's
it's
amazing.
Kind of hysterical reading back through those. It's like, oh wow.
I wish I could do it because I also have a horrible memory. I mean, obviously not for acting, like I can pick up my scripts, but after I'm done with a project, it is gone. And I don't remember my childhood. And so it would be lovely to have journals to look back on.
So it's very good that you're in film because you can rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, I was in that.
Oh my gosh, that's the thing. Like some actors like say, oh, I never watch my stuff. I'm like, no, I watch it. I need to remember.
I mean, that's probably just an indication that you're a very busy person.
I know.
You just have so much going on.
I mean, I remember things now, but a lot of my childhood I don't remember for whatever reason. It's like out of body experiences. Like it's a story being told to me that I've just made into a memory that wasn't actually real, like it happened, but I've just heard the story and I've put together images that make it my memory, but it's not in my own body. So clearly I'm not having the actual memory. I'm strange. I know.
We all remember things differently, and some of us remember things very vividly, some of us don't.
Mm-hmm. One of my really good friends says the exact same thing. He's like, prior to age 13, he's like, it's just gone. He's like, I couldn't even tell you. I'm like, which is fascinating to me because I can remember stuff like itty bitty, like maybe it was like traumatizing. I'll tell you a story about a lobster later. It's traumatizing. Clearly.
I mean, it goes both ways, right? Because when I tell people I can't remember my childhood, people think that they're like, oh, something happened. Like,
wait, can you let Idris in?
Oh,
our next one's arriving.
That's a doorbell. I thought that was like a clock. It's so beautiful.
It sounds like a clock, right?
Yeah.
My grandparents had a clock that made that sound when we were kids.
Oh, yeah. Come on in.
Come on, Idris.
My mom has vivid memories of being like 3.
Or you can sit out there if you want.
I do not have vivid memories at all. I definitely had something to say when you said that, but I'm so bad with distraction. I'm gone. It's all over now. We might as well say goodbye.
We were talking about a lobster. We were talking about childhood.
Memories.
Forgetting memories.
Well, this is just a beautiful example of what we were talking about.
Right?
Once you're done with it, it's gone.
Oh, I know. Not that this is important. Please have a seat. Feel comfortable. In the home that is not mine. As I tell you. Come on in. Yes, no, speaking about memories, I want to look into this actually. Even talking about movies over the past few years that I've gone and seen or whatever, and maybe I have a huge reaction to, oh, I loved that movie, or, oh, I hated that movie. Natural follow-up question, oh, why, Karenssa? Why didn't you like it? I don't know. I don't remember. Like, I remember how I feel.
Remember emotions, but not details.
I remember how I felt during movies and experiences. I don't necessarily remember what happened to the movie that made me feel that way. So it's just a processing thing.
So do you find as far as art is concerned, or performance art even, that you prefer emotive as opposed to narrative? Like, I think Cirque du Soleil, whenever I think a good example of them, have you ever seen any of the Cirque shows?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're very emotive, not necessarily narrative driven. Do you find that you prefer that style, or...
to do or to view?
To do or to view, or, both?
No, I don't think so. I think I like tangible, knowing what's going on, what to dive into. I'm sure that can be possible with the other, but no, I think narrative. I relate more to that. Because I think I want... Emotive seems a little more abstract and interpretive, and I think I like the idea of narrative. There is a vision that we're all trying to tell a story, and we all might have different perspectives within it, but I can make a million choices on my journey for what that vision is. I think that's very attractive to me. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to talk before we wrap up? Talk about?
Let's see.
Projects?
October is a cool month because of the Carving Life thing. Check it out if you can. And I know the GI Fest is coming up also in October, and I've got a film in that with Ryan Kelly, who's great and amazing. He did Refuge. I think that's all off the top of my head. Maybe I'll just have to come back someday and knock on your door.
Yeah,
now that you know
we
where
like
he lives.
return
Yeah.
visits.
Because I only live 10 minutes away.
I've also got a film that I worked on that's going to be at GI Film Fest.
Which one?
I was the first AD on a film called Forgotten Hero, which is going to be there.
Do you know what day it's?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
I believe Refuge is Saturday the 21st at 3:30.
think
So I
we're-
hope you're in that same screening.
We might be on Sunday,
Oh, okay.
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe I'll have to go
check,
twice.
but I will put the link to Carving Life's ticketing
Oh, great.
on the show notes.
Thank you.
So anybody who is interested in going up to LA and checking it out, can
Awesome
follow
sauce.
the link on our show notes.
Yeah.
But also, if people want to just get a hold of you, say they want to work
Yeah.
with you.
Is there a
Yeah,
website for the
thanks.
great
Yeah.
Karenssa LeGear?
Yes, it's Karenssa.com. Not many people can do that. I nailed that one, unusual name. And that is spelled Karenssa. Do you want to hear the song that I made for my name?
Yes. Absolutely.
Karen with the K-S-S-A. Just in case you didn't get it the first time. That's fine. Because I always get asked how to spell it. So there you go. Karenssa.com. So thank you so much for pointing that out. That has all my social media links. And so if you go there, then I usually post when stuff is happening. So yeah.
Cool.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. It's been awesome.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
coming
awesome
on and
having
talking.
you.
I'm pretty sure I was
yeah.
really boring. I talked
No,
way
not
too
at
much.
all. And you're just 10 minutes away, so like,
Just edit it out and we'll do it again.
No. If you need somebody to walk on the beach and stuff with,
Yeah,
like, I'm around,
thank you.
and I need to walk more. So
I know I do like long walks too.
just give me a ring. Let me know.
All right. Carl's bad. See, I stuttered through this whole thing, you guys. Horrible actor. But Carl's Bad Beach, here we come.
Well, you know who stutters when James Earl Jones has a horrible stutter.
Oh, really?
Except for when he's got memorized lines.
Exactly. I know. Where's my script, you guys? I thought I was going to have a script today. It's been all improv.
Next time.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Karenssa.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
You know the old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression? That phrase is incredibly true in our business. In entertainment, your first impression can mean everything. It can mean the difference of booking a job or not booking a job, having an audition or not having an audition. That first impression can get you in the door and make things happen. And for an actor, that first impression is the headshot. First and foremost, casting directors, producers, they're going to see your headshot and they're going to make decisions about whether or not you get seen based on that one image. So it's incredibly important to make that image an investment in your future. And to do that, you want to find the right photographer, someone who's going to work with you to craft the perfect image, the perfect first impression. And I suggest you check out portraitsbypeggy.com. Peggy's been doing photography since the 80s, and she really knows her stuff. And she wants to work with you to craft the perfect captured image, the one that captures the uniqueness of you and helps you book the job. She wants to work with you. She wants to really get into who you are, what sort of jobs you're trying to book, and help you get the perfect image. So check out portraitsbypeggy.com and book your portfolio session today.